What's going on, brothers and sisters? Eric Rosa for Viking Rising Astrology. Welcome to this astrology horoscope that's going to pick apart a bit the Mercury retrograde that is starting on Monday, and we're going to have it for the next 3 weeks. It's in Sagittarius. It's a big one. Before I get into that, though, if you want to get your hands on not only that Destiny Tug of War special that teaches you how to avoid playing small next year because of all these outer planets shifting, specifically for your zodiac sign, you can click on that link down below. It's only $9 for that recorded webinar. And then also I put out a free, basically ebook that teaches you how to alchemize your grief into manifestation, because I feel this is a really important, potent time to make sure that we're not getting hung up in our subconscious grief, past lessons, and just things that can kind of bog us down. So that link will be down below as well. And of course, if you want to get an astrology reading, that link will always be down there also. What I find really interesting about this Mercury going retrograde in Sagittarius and the sign that deals with too muchness when it comes to Mercury, because Mercury wants to just take in like one little fact at a time, but it gets overzealous in Sagittarius. And so with the retrograde, it's, more about inner reflection, going within. Yes, it can make things difficult in terms of outward communication, especially getting your point across about your beliefs, your experiences. There's a cookie cutter thing with Mercury where it's like, check the facts and don't buy this and don't do that. Interestingly enough, right? Like it'll be during the holiday season, things like Black Friday and, leading up to Christmas time. So, some people might not be paying attention to their bank accounts and the abundance that they actually have and go overspending. So there is something to definitely say about, know it, I'd say, within your heart. Like your beliefs and your experiences should be matching pretty well to make sure that you're staying on track during this time. If the experience within a 24, 48-hour period based upon the positive, optimistic belief that you want to have isn't matching, maybe it needs to come to more of a middle ground. Remember, Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, is retrograde in Gemini, so it's got to make sense. It's going to be more about finding that middle ground, not being too, Peter Pan, but not too like Peter Banning, like in the Hook movie. It's like, there's a prudence. This Mercury retrograde almost made aspects over to Uranus retrograde in Taurus, and so it's almost like we're trying to get to that abundant future, maybe seeing what this Pluto and Aquarius for this next 20 years is really going to be about. There can be an excitement, maybe a little bit of, impatience and overzealous nature and wanting to expand in so many different areas and different ideas. And so I just want to caution everyone that if it's coming more from what you want to see or like the ego, or just like so ready for a change that maybe gets like forced a little bit, don't do that. This Mars is going to be retrograde in Leo by the time Mercury finishes its retrograde. So it's like knowing not to lead with the blindness of the ego whenever maybe we're, searching deeper for courage that we didn't know that we actually had within us, where we can actually love and pour our passion more into ourselves and life and our loved ones, and find how to mend, broken hearts, that people may feel like they have from just like various different things. And even just the honesty too, I think that's important for people to have, of just the modesty, the modesty of Pluto came in at Capricorn for 16 years and proved that, not everyone's, gonna succeed in the way that the Matrix program put out and make you famous and just all this crazy shit. It's like Pluto and Aquarius, you can get TikTok famous for like 5 seconds, but, is that really where you want to invest your energy? This Pluto and Aquarius is looking at opportunities this next 20 years to go, okay, well, we can examine ourselves a little bit easier and find out what parts we need to disconnect from, which parts of ourselves like maybe we lost or we've been aloof to, and we need to bring that like closer in. And so this deals with deep levels of truth and honesty, and like not being seduced by fitting in, but rather, using that, overcoming fear, basically just using bravery with this energy to go, you know what, I'm not going to go into that old way of how I try to connect and, hang on to things. This is a big one for that. I think by the end of this Mercury retrograde, what we're going to be seeing is that the negative beliefs that are just, haven't been working for a long time, got to go. But then also shaping and molding the ones that are positive to make sure that they're still sustainable and grounded enough for the future of where you're going, so that you don't feel disappointment in the long run that kind of puts you on like a loop-de-loop roller coaster. So I don't think it's a bad Mercury retrograde. I think it's going to have its moments, I'll be honest. It's important for us to keep moving forward, without a doubt. Action's still the name of the game. Expanding our reality forward. I mean, especially, as I'm recording this, it's like the sun is making good aspects over to the nodes. And so we can have peace and harmony and balanced relationships and diplomacy while also still being a badass motherfucker and taking actions that allow us to be big and allow us to heal, and seeing that there is a hidden door, you could say, between like people pleasing and hiding, but then being too overzealous and overconfident, and actually being big and speaking to things that need to change and heal on a collective front. That's not, maybe it ruffles some feathers, but it only ruffles people's feathers because it puts the blind spots of their reality in their face. And it's not so much like calling out groups of people, or you're on this side of the aisle, or you're this religious belief, or you're this or you're that, because this definitely brings up beliefs, right, with this Mercury retrograde. So what we got card wise, we got Scorpio. This card came up, but it was reversed the other day. So this is about investigation, right? Like, yes, there's a psychology to Scorpio energy. We're out of Scorpio season, but it's like, yeah, use that Mercury to go deep. I mean, there's positivity in it. Let's get a clarifying card. So we're gonna have to investigate the past a little bit. That South Node card came up again. So, Mercury does rehash the last 3 months of our lives. And so there's kind of an unavoidable karmic element of what can we do better? Like, we're looking at the past 3 months of experiences and going, was it positive? Did the belief actually match the experience? Do I need to stop being over optimistic and make these adjustments, or is it working out pretty good and I just need to tweak a couple of things to make sure that I'm getting the most out of this life and this reality and connecting with people? This is also an opportunity for people to see how are they dealing mentally and communication wise and their thoughts, like with foreign things, people that you feel that are foreign to you, that are just have different beliefs, or they're just from a different tribe, basically, and to see that there is way to have more peace in all of this. How about that? Got the Aquarius Collaborate card as the last card. So, I think if people start articulating in a little bit more of a positive light their beliefs based upon their experience, instead of just like banging the hard drum for this is the belief, or this is my experience, and not leaving room for kind of like, hey, this is how I'm experiencing my reality. I think there can be more of a positive collaborative effort that we can all have, where we can kind of start to, come out of that Pluto and Capricorn woodwork of like competition mode and comparisons. And in Aquarius, it's more about equality and going, let's learn and collaborate with each other and understand each other's beliefs and experiences, that we can all be the student, we can all be the teacher, right? There's always a humbling nature that we can have with Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, where it's like, do you really know everything? Like Sagittarius energy likes to cover a lot of ground, very, very knowledgeable, but it is a review period to go, how's that working out though? It could also uncover too, like, where are the places that we just need to make improvements with, picking better directions that we go in. This is also about honesty, about directions that we've been trying to go in that just like aren't like working. Other than that, I think it's positive. I think it's just, there is a judicious nature to like the work ethic though of this Mercury retrograde, and it's not meant to just be like, let's hold our fucking breath for 3 weeks while it's retrograde and be concerned that life's not going to go as good as we hoped or something, because it's like we had the first sign of trouble with like Pluto and Aquarius, like Pluto and Aquarius, that first date, and it's like, oh my God, it's going to be such a dreamy partnership this next 20 years. And that the first sign of conflict, that it's like, oh no, and it's like deflating the tires a little bit. And I would say, especially Mercury retrograde, Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, it can feel that way on the mental level. Like it's like not going to go well factually, but that's the moment where you just like got to catch yourself and keep your frequency up and go, nope, whatever it is that I'm thinking that is this, it's just a disposition of the status quo collective astrology of influence. And then it's more so about betterment, just making things better. Mercury goes retrograde in Sagittarius to go, yeah, I know that some things in life are good and some things maybe can feel a little overwhelming, but let me show you how to make it better. Let me just like slow you down, take one step at a time. Let's examine the type of experience that you're having in life, like the horizons that maybe you've been over exploring or need to explore better, or just like haven't explored at all, So if you're okay with pivoting and adjustments in life, if you're okay with change, this is a really good energy. But if you're not, you want to hang on to stuff, well, I hate to say it, but that's where you can kind of like lower your frequency and, get a little jaded by how things are flowing. And I really think that Neptune Saturn is especially going to show us energetically where the delays, the stoppages are at, if we're not going and making these more positive, beneficial changes in ourselves, how we relate to our loved ones, all of life, but also just how we relate to the world in general. So I'm calling out the people that are getting into heated arguments and discussions over stuff that's probably trivial at this point, and just going to call this Mercury retrograde the opportunity for the true light workers to hold the line of the vibration of what you believe in without trying to convince others, persuade others around the Thanksgiving table, or even when Mercury's in its post-shadow, Christmas time, trying to convince people around you, or even just, social media, because that energy comes up with that too, about why they should think, act, and do what you do, because that Pluto and Aquarius is not about that life. Pluto and Aquarius is about, motherfuckers, I am here to segregate you in a spiritual way so that you can actually reflect on how you've been showing up as a lemming, with your, I'd say with this astrology, with your beliefs, and they go, that's not going to really help you ascend and play your best possible role in the spaceship, metaphorically speaking, that can be where we take off to as a collective and go into this new earth frequency. And so the days for arguing and debating, they can end, but it's going to be those specific, I guess I could use the word star seeds, it's going to be the specific ones that get it, that are self-aware enough to like, wow, I am wasting a lot of energy, like arguing with people or debating or caring what people think about my beliefs. It's like, just be honest and real about your experience, and if it lifts your vibration to talk about it and express it, good. Experiment with it this next 3 weeks. Communicate. Put the message out there. But if it feels like it's trying to fit in or go down some like weird rabbit holes that don't have any rabbits, that could almost be like thinking that you're, having a discussion with someone who believes that thing, and really you're just having a discussion with someone or online or something with people that are just still kind of like, almost like vape penning like the media negativity or something, like to keep them stimulated. And so it's like, are you actually talking to a true human being that has like a spiritual backbone of like optimistic curiosity, that's like willing to go, you know what, like this life can't just be like an endless debate, like, and so it's even being simultaneously open as light workers, that when new information comes in, that changes our belief in our experience too, because we had a new experience. And so Mercury teaches us that, retrograde in Sag too, that it's not about how it's always been, you know. It's definitely about, especially before we get to Capricorn season next month, that it's like, make sure that you feel like you've innovated, you've renovated your understanding of how you relate to life before you make your next big commitments, because this is not a time for big recommitments. If anything, it's more so about the house cleaning work within your subconscious mind, your thinking, to be really honest and go, how is my life actually working out, before to see, like, do you actually have the commitment? Do you have the energy? Do you have the tools? Do you have the community? Do you have the resources? Like, this is a big stock up inventory type thing that we're meant to have in Sag season before we make that big Capricorn commitment, because, you know, when that comes around, it's like you have to restrict. And so Pluto was showing us, training us how to get by with sometimes little, but like now this is where we can go, okay, now the resources are probably out in the world and through people, and opportunities that are just going to come from more of a social equality-based connection with people, but also to not from a place of just, okay, let me just be common and just like wear the same shirt as you and talk the same as you and be the same as you. And that's the opportunity with this Sag season. It's like, no, the opportunities come from people that want the authentic, healthy rebel of authenticity, and they're like, wow, like I didn't know I was looking for you or needed to have a conversation with you, but holy fuck, here you are, you know, you just struck a chord with me because you're real. Like, that's honestly, that's what the compliments I've been getting the most lately. It's just, you just show up, you just do your thing, you don't try to sugarcoat it. If vulnerability comes up, be vulnerable. It's fucking North Node Chiron. Like, everyone's got some like messy wound thing, and it's actually infuriating, like, to consider that anyone would still want to hide, you know, what's really going on or how they're feeling during this time. And I get it, because we lived in a world that's propped things up with Neptune at the end of Pisces to say that it's got to look a certain way as the image of the mirage, but Saturn's going to catch up with it and go, yeah, but like, is that really taking you to your spiritual destiny, your best path? Is it keeping you like in the illusion that a lot of the stuff that you've been seeing like was real at all? Like, it's kind of like, use this time now before Mars goes retrograde to figure out in your heart like what is actually real before AI like really starts to just pop off so much that you've got to train your eyes to see, is that real, is it not real, and like know it in the courage of your own heart, of your own discernment, of identification. Like, you know, my heart, my truth, my fucking just knowing in myself that's like the royalty that I am, that can't be fucked with, and basically, you know, reconditioned in any way. Because this is also not about anyone, I don't think most people will fall for it, but you gotta be careful too, to like get reconditioned for like the next program that tries to get like uploaded on the back end, you know, where it's like the new matrix system, and it's like there's still gonna be some weird bullshit like playing out. So it's like, know how to discern that intuitively in yourself. Like, I always use Trump as an example. It's like, you know, anyone who's dove deep into themselves, that really understands their truth, this might be a trigger, but you would know the guy works for the light. He has crude remarks, but the guy works for the light. I'm sorry, but it's all the people that just like, they can't see it. You haven't met your monster. You haven't met your villain. You haven't met your dark night of the soul, and that's okay, you know, but that's the positive of, you know, having to live with the idea that he's supposedly going to be the guy for the next 4 years, you know? So it's like, it's one of those things where we also have to remember to use this reality as a mirror. And I know that's tough, because there can be an exhaustion, you know, from that level of character development with North Node Chiron that we've been going through for the past 16 months, but don't, start coasting the last 2 months of some of the deepest spiritual tests that we're about to go through these next few months, and stay committed to a path of just really wanting to know yourself, even your own messiness and that mastery, because Sag season, Mercury retrograde, Mars and shadow in Leo, North Node, Chiron in Aries. This is a lot of intensity, a lot of fire. So use that fire to burn away just anything binding. I would say the concern would be if you don't have at least one thing that lights you up in life that's a passion. That's when you have to really go, okay, let me just hit the pause button and take a day or two to really reflect on a day off or something. Use this Mercury retrograde to really get deep into reflection. If you're one of those people that feels like you're just shitting on other people's creativity or their ideas or their beliefs, and you got to look at your own life. What are you creating, right? Fire energy teaches us how to initiate and get excited and create. Seems for me, I'll use Facebook as an example. It's always the people that pop out of the woodwork and disagree, that they never post any original content on their page. It's always people just reposting and resharing other people's stuff. And so I think for those folks, if you're not feeling the passion, or you're shit, I do that thing, start to become curious about other people and see how you can be inspired instead by their experiences and beliefs and perspectives, instead of seeing that maybe you're getting triggered by it because it's throwing it in your face that you're just not initiating more in life. That's a hard Leo truth. That's a hard fire sign truth in general. But either way, everyone's redeemable in terms of the ability to decondition any beliefs that you've been fed from anywhere. And that's Pluto and Aquarius. It's not so much your beliefs or ideas it is right now because of the Sag energy, but it's Pluto and Aquarius in general is more of how do I create autonomy by just taking a step back and just getting a 360 aerial view all the way to the depths of things and go, oh shit, there's the sink in my life. There's where I'm not passionate. There's where I'm not being a truther. All the energy that's high vibrational that comes into my life filters down into that Pluto sewer drain right there. And it's there's the energy leak. Pluto and Aquarius is absolutely about no energy leaks. All the circuits got to be firing. Everything's got to feel electric and alive. And I know that can feel hard because we're so fresh out of Pluto and Capricorn. We got Mars that's, slowing down. And so that takes a lot out of us. It really, really does. If your drive feels like it's slowing down, or maybe you're open to that. I mean, it's especially, I'll be honest, it's especially harder on men that think that reality is just always meant to keep moving forward, just very practical, hardworking, just keep building, because Mars retrogrades takes it 2 years for it to do that. So it's it's the masculine. It's just, okay, now I'll slow down. But then if you don't understand the benefits of that retooling yourself, especially in Leo, to be am I actually being passionate? So that's a lot of what this astrology, this Mercury retrograde is about right now, is do you actually experience passion in your life? And if you're not, don't shame yourself. Don't go on some wild goose chase. You don't need to be fucking what's the guy's name, Jay Shelty or whatever, and go fucking on an 8-month or 8-year walkabout, very Sagittarius energy, right? Let me go find myself on a walkabout and kind of ghost society or the world a little bit. It's more so what restrictions did Pluto and Capricorn put you in, and even the Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, could feel the deflation of your circumstances a little bit, to go, okay, well, let me just be a little bit neutral and assess what's going on. Where's the energy leaks? Where's my attention going? Because that's where the energy is going to flow. What's the thing that's coming up subconsciously the most? And then going, okay, well, that's that thing that keeps showing up and people keep mentioning that to me, or they see that, or I keep knowing that it's there, but you haven't found a solution yet. Now's the time to find a solution. Now's the time to take a different approach. This is a different perspective of the research, to have a different experience, to make things better. So I love you all. If you want to get that special about the Destiny Tug of War, how to not play small, it's already started, that energy for that webinar, but it's especially potent next year for your zodiac sign. It's $9. Links down below. You want to get that ebook about how to alchemize, transmute your grief into manifestation, because if you feel like you're not getting what you want in life, this Mercury retrograde brings that up too. It's time to look at, like, what are the blocks subconsciously, emotionally. Grief is a non-linear journey. You would be surprised at the stuff that we tend to store as human beings, and we really think that we're doing good. You know, it's being honest with ourselves about there's always another layer that can be released. And if you want to get an astrology reading, that link will be down below as well. All right, love you all. See you next time.